The following is a paid program, and the host is solely responsible for its content. Opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of KVOI or its sponsors.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Eye on the Ball. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales, and you're listening to 1030 The Voice. Jay, good afternoon. It's Thursday. Did you know that?
I knew that. I had that one today, but it's only because it's garbage day at my house, okay?
Me too.
I know I got to get the garbage can out, so, it's only garbage, not recycling, just garbage today. But yes, I did know today was Thursday.
Yes, big day on Saturday. We'll talk more about that later, but we have one of my guys, a handicapper. Maybe your wallet will get a little fatter this weekend.
I'm hoping. I'm excited to talk about this today because it's, I've told you, I love the Triple Crown, and I'm very excited to be able to, to talk to Richard Eng and see what he has to say, and maybe get a tip or two here. And, look, I just have fun when I bet. I don't bet a lot of money on horse races because to me it's about the fun, it's about the juice, it's the action.
A bad day at the track beats a good day at the office.
It's like when I go golfing, I go, and if I lose money, $10, $15, whatever, I'm fine with that because I had a good time. And that's how I see horse racing. I'm not that.
Gabby might be listening.
Well, I know she's listening, and hon, I honestly, I don't bet more than $2 a race. And your son doesn't bet at all.
No, I look forward to talking to Richard. You really like him. I have him on the show every now and again. You'll like him, and you'll probably subscribe to some of the stuff he does. A lot of things going on. The one thing that I caught coming in, and you have your own thoughts on other things. The Texas University, a lot of kids are failing COVID.
They are, and we're finding that a lot of athletes are showing up, and either they've got it or they're getting it. And there's a lot of I'm a little worried as to how it's happening now. Again,
yes,
you got to let time, you got to let them handle this, and hopefully they'll figure it out and how to control it. But when you've got 6 guys, and that those 6 guys have it, and they've got to be quarantined for at least 2 weeks. What happens if that happens during the season?
And it's going to happen.
What happens if your starting offensive line all gets it in a week?
Let me tell you something. As you continue to hear things, Florida, Texas, Arizona, Vegas, all the numbers are going higher and higher, whether you believe this exists or not.
Right.
My belief now on June, 18th, whatever it is, that this football season is going to be delayed.
I think it is, and Dr. Fauci just came out and said that he doesn't see how there's even going to be a season, an NFL season. He just doesn't see how they're going to be able to play professional football, or that if they play, it's going to be, it's just going to be hard to do. His quote was, "Unless players are essentially in a bubble, insulated from the community, and they're tested nearly every day, it would be very hard to see how football is able to be played this fall." That's scary to me.
That's scary. When you first heard this in March, because were you in Vegas? Were you in Vegas? Not in Vegas.
No, I was not
in Vegas. You
were
not in Vegas,
I was
but
here.
That's when it all hit. Everybody was in Vegas for Arizona, and you're thinking, okay, that's big news. And then the day later, there's no NCAA tournament. There's nothing. That was like a huge day, like a bomb had blown up. Now it continues to bomb.
Yeah. By the way, do you know that was 100 days ago today?
100 days ago. Wow.
100 days ago today.
Wow. We've been in quarantine for how long? Maybe just almost
not too long after that.
Yeah.
I know that it was shortly after that I was working from home, and then not long after that I didn't have a job.
Right. Good you can laugh because you landed here. Here.
But it's, well, again, and my hope is that as these things happen, as players get the virus, hopefully nobody gets it and, has serious complications.
Right.
Nobody dies, family members and stuff like that, that they figure out how to deal with it. And by the time they need to know how to deal with it, they know how to deal with it.
Right.
And we can have our seasons. Yeah. Again, I'm hopeful that we're going to have them. I'm not one of those people who says we're going to have them no matter what. I don't care what happens.
Right.
We got to do this right. And certainly I don't want to be going to a game knowing that, somebody sitting down the row from me, could have it or whatever.
Is hacking up some kind of storm.
Although I will tell you that I did order my Arizona Wildcats face mask today.
How much that cost you?
$20 for two.
That's not bad.
$20 for
I
two.
wonder how much they get.
You know.
So, Thomas, you wanted to chime in.
I do want to chime in because I think that there's something no one's talking about yet. And as more people come back to campus, we're going to hear that there are more cases of this. And the one thing that no one has, at least that I've heard, and maybe you guys have heard different, no one has said more people have this than we realize because we haven't tested enough.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to find so many more cases that are already out there. Guys, this is way more widespread.
Let me tell you, there's
Way
zombies.
more
There's
widespread.
zombies out there we have no idea.
Well, yeah, and that and when we were talking to Dave Hickey last week, he talked about how there's a difference in protocol when somebody shows up with it versus when somebody has been tested and we know they didn't have it and now they do. And he said that the direction that all of that goes into, we didn't even have time to talk about it. But he just pointed out that there's so many protocols that have to be in place for these guys to be able to participate. So, we've talked about this a little bit. We're hearing from other schools how many people have it, and so far the U of A has said they're not going to tell us if athletes have it. We're hearing from other schools that they are. Now, I don't know if the schools are telling people or if reporters or people are just finding out and putting the word out.
So let's assume for a second, and this is hypothetical, of course, Hawaii comes in with their 60 travel, whatever it is, 40, and they have a couple of kids who've had it, and now what do you do when they're here?
Well, again, I'm not the genius that's trying to put all this together, but it would seem to me that the kids at Hawaii have to be, before they come to Tucson, they better have been tested and
of course.
And results received before they get on the plane to come to Tucson. And I mean, that's just common sense, right? That's going to happen, right?
You think?
I mean, I sure hope that's the protocol, and going the other way.
Sure.
When Arizona jumps on a plane and goes to UCLA, that's going to be their first road game. Every one of those players will have to have been tested. They'd have to know the result of those tests, and then from the time that they were tested until the time they got on that plane, had to have been in a controlled environment, so that there's not a chance that they got it in the during that period of time.
Who wrote this story? I mean, there's a story. It's an unbelievable, unfathomable what we're going through right now.
It's it's hard to explain. I mean, I just don't know. And
wash my hands.
Right? Yeah, exactly. As you wash your hands.
Alcohol.
But for there still to be so many people out there
You don't know.
to believe that this is not real.
That's for another
That's
discussion.
a whole nother discussion. But I'm sorry. This is real, and
Sure.
people are dying, people are sick, and it's worse than anything we've ever faced before.
No question. Thomas, were you good with your thought there?
Yeah, you know what? And I am concerned as I queue up one of Jay's favorite songs for him just to make him feel better, because I feel like Jay's not feeling all that good about it right now. But you know what? What's wrong with if we play in the spring? Can we just please say that it'd be a fool's errand to try to play in the fall and just say, let's tackle this in the spring when we know more, when we can do more, when we have more protocols and protective measures in place?
We may have a whole slate of things going
Right.
in the spring.
I think the discussion, Tom, has been that, what do you do with these kids who, for instance, you've got the athletes who they're in their 5th year of school, but they graduate in December, and they're supposed to be able to go on with their lives, whether it's going to the NFL or going to get a job or whatever, and now you expect them to hang around for another semester in order to play football and stuff like that. I just don't know that you can. I don't disagree with them doing everything they can to try and play, and I do think that football, sports in the spring is on the table for everybody if this doesn't work. But I don't have an issue with them trying to make it work.
No, you have to until you can.
Until you can.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Let's take a break here and come back and talk to Richard Ng about the Belmont coming up on Saturday.
CBS News at the top and bottom of every hour. 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk.
There's a place in our house For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
For nearly 7 decades, Hughes Federal Credit Union has been there for its members through good times and bad. We know that by working together, we can achieve great things, like addressing your financial needs during these times and beyond. Bank locally with Hughes, selected by Forbes as one of the best in-state credit unions for 2 years in a row. We've got you today, tomorrow, and for decades to come. Visit hughesfcu.org, insured by NCUA.
1030 The Voice is committed to supporting our local businesses. Many are struggling. We want to help them get the word out that they're still open and ready to serve you. Go to kvoi.com, click on the Stay Tucson Strong page, where you can find a link to support our business partners. You can make your dollar count by buying from local businesses and in return, help them keep their workers employed. Find out more at kvoi.com. Together, we can stay Tucson Strong with 1030 The Voice.
Tucson's source for trusted news and talk. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. And now on the phone, my guy with all things horse racing, Richard Eng. How are you?
Hey, hello, Steve. I can't remember the last time I was on, but it was surely before coronavirus, so
no question.
Everybody's okay down there.
Yeah, well, we're trying to be. Let me tell you, no question. A couple of quick things. We'll talk about your last pick that we had on the show, that huge win you had. I think it was in the Belmont. You had a through-the-roof guy come in for you, and I'm sure you'll remember that. How can you not forget? How can you forget that? But I'm depressed, and you know why? Baffert has no shot at a Triple Crown this year. Did not see that Nadal had retired, and Charlatan, who knows what Charlatan's up to with some little juice in him.
Yeah, it was, Baffert had these horses ready to go the first Saturday in May, and unfortunately the gods of racing threw a monkey wrench into the schedule, and now here we are in the middle of June, and 2 of his top horses are now on the sidelines, Nadal and Charlatan, but Authentic got beat, and we'll see what happens with him. But he's got a couple of new shooters. I saw he had a horse called Uncle Chuck break his maiden the other day, and Cezanne broke his maiden the other day. So Baffert just keeps coming in waves.
And now I have my co-host here is ready to win some money on some picks that you have this weekend. I don't know if can you beat the chalk?
Well, we always try. Certainly one of the principles. If anyone read my book, Betting on Horse Racing and Dummies, one of the things I harp on is, favorites win 1 out of 3. And when you're betting favorites, even if you cash tickets at a higher rate than 1 out of 3, you're still going to lose money because the payoffs on favorites are so low, and you have to hit so many of them that the key is to try to beat them. And, when you're betting like daily doubles and pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5, pick 6s, you don't necessarily have to come up with monster horses, to blow up your ticket and make it worth a lot. You just have to be favorites, even if it's the second and third choice. So, that's one of my goals when I do my sheet every day in Southern California. When I give out picks, whether it's on the radio or simulcast play of the day, you just try to be favorites.
So, Richard, this is Jay Gonzales. It's good to meet you. I'm happy to have you on today, and I'm anxious to let's get to it. Let's talk about the Belmont and everything that I've been reading. It's about Tiz the Law, and how are they going to beat him? I mean, what has to happen, and who are the horses we should be looking at?
Well, you've got the right horse on top as far as the odds makers go. Tiz the Law. He's accomplished the most on his resume. And he's being handled very, very well by Barclay Tagg, who certainly is a veteran trainer. And the fact that he's got a Kentucky Derby notch on his belt and a Preakness notch with a funny side, he's been down this road before. Of course, with the timing of the Triple Crown being all jumbled up, this is new territory for everybody. But he's been very patient with Tizzalaw. He had this horse ready for the Derby, Kentucky Derby, first Saturday in May, and I always got this horse ready for the first, the June 20th at Belmont, the first Saturday in September, and that'll be the Kentucky Derby. But as far as the handicapping goes, when I saw the morning line finally come out on this race, and the morning line maker made Tizzalaw 6-5, quite frankly, I said to myself, in your dreams, that you're going to see 6-5.
Right.
I really believe that this horse is going to be 4-5, possibly even 3-5, comparison to the rest. But then, as far as the conversation I had just a little while ago about talking about betting and trying to beat favorites, when I put my sheet together and my work together, I picked Tizzalaw second just on principle.
Right.
I wasn't going to go with a 3 or 4-5 shot, so I did pick somebody else to try to beat him. So
maybe by the end of the show, we'll wrestle that baby from you, because it's going to be a nice payoff. It'll be a nice payoff.
Well, let me ask you, when you go through look, I grew up here in Tucson, and I grew up on dog racing. So with dog racing, you kind of knew what a dog was going to do because they just did the same thing every time. When you handicap a horse race, do you try and figure out who's going to go where, where do they run? What are all the things that go into that, and how much do you put into that, or is it speed? Is it what are the types of things? Do you try and predict what a race is going to look like? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, what you say, Jay, makes sense in everyday handicapping. You try to look at how the race is going to play out, who the speed horses are, who the stalkers are, who the closers are. You try to make a mental picture of the race, and you try to, put the pieces together. Every race is a puzzle, it's an enigma, and every race is different from the other because, the fact that you have different animals, you have different distances, you have different track conditions. There's so many variables.
Jockeys.
I don't want to get people too confused, but I wrote an entire book on it.
Yeah.
But there's so many variables involved. But one of the advantages of betting and handicapping stakes races like this is the fact that it eliminates actually a lot of the things that you have to worry about in everyday handicapping. One of them is what I call intent. When you're looking at a claiming race or an allowance race or an optional claimer, sometimes you have to look at the intent of what the trainer is thinking about, what the jockey is thinking about. But in a race like this, a grade 1 stakes race, you don't have to worry about intent. Nobody is looking past this race. Everybody wants to win the Belmont Stakes that enter. So that really eliminates any of that gray area. Now, as far as the pace and how the race is going to lay out, it is still the same. You take a look at just that you're looking at your animals, but you try to figure out who's going to be in front, who's going to be off the pace, who's going to be coming from way back. But one thing that I like in looking at a race like this is some of these horses actually are fairly they haven't run a whole lot. It's a lot different than it was decades ago. And Steve, you probably, if you're a more veteran horse racing fan than Jay, decades ago, we used to see horses coming into the Kentucky Derby with a foundation of 8, 10, 12 races, that kind of thing, through the 2-year-old season and the 3-year-old season. Now I'm looking at the past performances for this Belmont Stakes. I see horses with 3 starts, 4 starts, 5 starts. That's really unusual. But it's more of a sign of the times. And so I think part of the handicapping now that I'm looking at is I'm looking for development. I'm looking for horses that haven't hit their head on the ceiling yet, that still have a chance to improve and possibly run their career best race this coming Saturday.
You know how I look at things, Richard. Speed and class, baby. Speed and class. Pedigree. That's how I do it. Maybe that's why I'm broke.
I was going to say, there's, people have different strategies for handicapping and different strategies for betting, and there's no one way of doing it. So if that's effective for you, Steve, Don't change it. Don't let anybody talk you off it.
Well, it's my money against your money, so that's why you have money and I don't.
Well, I'll just say, Richard, he obviously doesn't have enough money for a razor, so it hasn't been going well for a while. It looks like.
That's right. Hey, how have the circumstances been for you? Because you have your tout sheet, which is very successful. You do a number of tracks every weekend. This pandemic has blown up the racing industry.
Well, it certainly hurt my business when Southern California stopped racing for a couple of months. But what I did was I picked up Gulfstream, and I handicapped the pick 6 every day at Gulfstream. And I tell you what, that is one tough circuit. I have a better time and easier time in Southern California handling Santa Anita than Gulfstream Park. But it's there's always something out there. Thank goodness there were a few racetracks that were still running during the pandemic, during the downtime when a lot of the economy ground to a halt. Seeing races at Tampa Bay Downs and seeing races at Gulfstream and a couple of tracks that actually came to the fore. And then where I'm going with this. People actually were watching and betting large amounts of money on Will Rogers Downs and Finer Park. Who would have thought that? but their handles went through the roof, and I'm really happy for those organizations because they got focus that they had never gotten before in their history.
Well, yeah, I was sitting here. There was nothing to watch,
right?
So I'd be, channel surfing and stop on TVG or FS1 or 2, whichever one had races on, just to watch a race, that just to see a sport that I didn't already know the result. And my wife would stop and say, "Are you betting on horse races?" I said, "No, I'm just watching because I haven't seen this before." I'm one of those people who will do that because if I'm flipping channels and I see a race is about to start, I'll stop and I'll watch it. I'll look at the odds and I'll say to myself, "Okay, I'll take the 1, 2, 3 and then see what happens." I don't bet on it, but I just love the watching the race, watching the competition, and seeing a race, and and it's fun. And if I would have won that, or I would have lost my shirt on that, and that's all we had to do for a while. I mean, for a bit of time there, horse racing was the only thing that wasn't a repeat.
It's kind of like watching Miss America for me. I think it's Miss California, just because we don't know the outcome.
And one of the beauties of our sport for listeners who may not be that knowledgeable about horse racing is, people are not paid salaries, trainers, jockeys, like ball players are in football or hockey or basketball. You get paid when you win.
Right.
And so the competition out there is fierce. I mean, when you win a race and you beat the other guy next to you by a head, you take money off the other guy's table, so food off the other guy's table. So it's really a great sport in the sense that it pays to win, and everybody's out there trying their darndest.
So we hope to have you on the other side of this break here. But how was the card? Is it a good card to be betting on Saturday?
Oh, well, I'm one of those guys, Steve, that thinks any card's a good card to bet on.
So if you believe it, we're going to be right behind you.
Richard, I see what you're saying. We've got a quarter horse track here, and there's some. I don't care what those horses look like. When I go there, I have fun betting on them. I don't care if next week those horses are at doing pony rides. I'll bet on them because it's fun to watch a race.
Oh, absolutely. I remember during going back to the Fawner Park when I was watching the races on TVG, and I downloaded the daily racing form PPs, even though I couldn't bet on them here. But I saw a race, for example. I think out of the 8 horses, there was like 6 of them had run a 0 buyer speed figure the last time out.
Wow!
And I put a little tweet out on my Twitter account saying, the fact that 6 of the 8 horses had run a 0 last time out. But the thing is, one of these horses has to win. That's why we're here.
Exactly.
Richard, we're going to take a break here real quick and twist your arm to get the winner on the other side.
Right.
CBS News at the top and bottom of every hour. 1030 The Voice, Tucson's trusted local news and talk.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Worries about fresh COVID-19 outbreaks and lackluster economic data held stocks in a narrow range. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 40. The S&P 500 added 2 points. The Nasdaq rose 33. The recovery of the U.S. job market is slowing to a glacial pace. The government says claims for jobless benefits fell only slightly last week and remain above 1.5 million. It was the smallest decline since claims began to retreat in early April. Biogen says it will appeal a judge's ruling invalidating the patent for its best-selling multiple sclerosis drug, Tecfidera. If upheld, the ruling opens the door to generic competition. The current generation of students may pay a heavy price for COVID-19. The World Bank says pandemic-related school closures and lost family incomes could cost students $10 trillion in earnings over time, with girls especially vulnerable. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
CBS News Update. Dr. Anthony Fauci says no more widespread lockdowns are needed to control the coronavirus, just to focus on areas seeing a surge in cases. That's about 20 states. CBS's Nichelle Medina says some are seeing a record-breaking level of infections.
More than 4,000 people in California tested positive for coronavirus Wednesday. That's a new record for the state. Florida also posted new high numbers, over 3,000 cases in one day. Cases are also rising in Texas.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo faults those who put politics over facts in fighting the outbreak.
The White House, from the day one, has been operating on a pure political ideology. We should reopen, get the economy going. Government shouldn't be slowing down the economy. It was all political. It was all public relations.
The virus has killed more than 118,000 Americans. CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Time to update those old kitchen cabinets? Call the Window Depot today. The Window Depot is not only the #1 warehouse for windows and doors, we now have a great selection of kitchen and bath cabinets at Tucson's best prices. The Window Depot is Tucson's top spot for granite and quartz countertops to finish the new kitchen or the replacement of that old worn-out Formica. So call us today at 290-8545 or 622-6430. The Window Depot, windows, doors, granite, and new kitchens.
1030 The Voice. In times of crisis, information is vital.
Congressman David Schweikert. Good morning. Acting Secretary Homeland Security Chad Wolf.
Good morning, Chris. Good to be with you this morning.
Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services Eric Hargan. Eric, what's up, buddy?
We're working hard, as many people are.
CDC Director Robert Redfield.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
U.S. Senator Martha McSally.
Great job landing that interview yesterday with the CDC Director.
Trusted local news and talk about coronavirus. 1030 The Voice.
Trusted local news and talk all day, every day. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Wire on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. And on the phone we have my horse racing guy, Richard Ng, out of Vegas. I assume that you'll be in Vegas watching it from your comfortable confines over there?
Oh, yes, I will, Steve. And thank goodness, the casinos opened back up on June 4th, and my phone account's ready to go. And I caught a nice horse today. I think you saw my email. I was celebrating Ivar, who
that's right.
I gave him out on a radio show this morning with Ralph Sirocco, and lo and behold, the horse under Joe Talamo went wire to wire.
What was the price?
He paid $30.60.
Oh, nice.
So
you have $10 on that. That's $150.
Yeah, so I had a lot of emails from listeners who said thank you, and I know I built my own Belmont Stakes bankroll with one horse, so I'm ready to go.
Nice. Go ahead, Jay.
Ready to go. So let me ask you, Richard. With the Triple Crown starting at the Belmont. I mean, normally, the Triple Crown starts. It's a Kentucky Derby. There's 18, 20 horses in the race, and it's a free for all. There's 10 horses in this race. One, why just 10? And what impact is that going to have going forward? Now you've only got 10 horses that have a shot at the Triple Crown. I mean, what how does that work for the Triple Crown this year?
Well, that's a really good question, because invariably the Triple Crown races are like near maximum fields, whether it's 20, whether it's 14. To get only 10 to show up for this Belmont actually is kind of disappointing. And there's really only, quite frankly, one marquee horse, Tis the Law. We talked about, a couple of the Baffert horses were injured, but there have been some other major injuries to top horses like Maxfield and Independence Hall, and a few others have suffered injuries and are now on the shelf. And it's a different dynamic this year, because even if you don't run in the Belmont Stakes, there's a lot of really terrific 3-year-old races throughout the summer. I'm talking about races like the Bluegrass now is going to be in July at Keeneland, the Haskell at Monmouth. You're going to have probably a rescheduled Travers Stakes. Some of the races that were like the Mountaineer, the Ohio Derby, and the West Virginia Derby. These races probably get some points for the Kentucky Derby. So there are so many spots out there that even though the Belmont Stakes is so incredibly historic and part of the Triple Crown, some trainers have opted to kind of wait it out. And the first Saturday in September, it's still a long ways from now. So people are eyeballing that and trying to figure out the best way to get there.
Richard, we have a call. Mike, are you on the line? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I am, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I've actually been to the track with Steve, so I know he follows the horses that follow the horses. But I did want to ask Richard. It's like so you see you got pro baseball coming on, and you got pro basketball that is coming on, and you got golf that's going on now, and these other major sports, and they're all doing it without fans. And the athletes are all talking about, how it's going to be way different without fans. Is it any different at the track without fans? I mean, for the horses or the trainers, are they training different? Are they not being spooked? How is that different without the roar of the crowd?
Well, I'll say this. I used to go to the University of Arizona, the Racetrack Industry Program Symposium every December. And this is probably about 30 years ago, maybe, where I remember there was a panel where they were talking about horse racing becoming a theater sport, a theater of racing. And unfortunately, we were forced into that now with the pandemic. And so, in a lot of ways, actually, horse racing is better equipped to handle no fans than the other major sports. Because one, it's based upon betting, and betting can be done at remote locations, whether you're at an OTB or using your computer or using your cell phone. And while it's probably different, certainly for the jockeys and the horse and the trainers, they're focused on trying to win a race, and whether there's 500 people or 50,000, they probably operate the same. So actually, our sport was probably best built to be a theater of sport, the theater of racing, than the other games.
Thanks, Mike, for the call. I hope you're my bankroll again this weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for calling.
And that will be odd on Saturday. When you see this race go off, and I mean, I've seen
we've seen them before,
race, and you don't even notice that there's no fans there, right? Mm-hmm. But again, the Triple Crown races are different. The spectacle of the races is always different, and so it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out when you're talking about an hours long telecast and all the analysis and stuff that goes on, and there's not going to be anybody there.
Yeah, and fellas, I've been at Belmont Park for a handful of Triple Crown tries, and I tell you what, the electricity in a crowd of 100,000 people or more when you're trying for Triple Crown, I mean, it's just phenomenal. You can't bottle that stuff. And so, there's no one going to be going for the Triple Crown on Saturday, but still, the excitement level, it's going to be different. It's going to be different.
That's the one thing, because of the handle. You have 110,000 people at the event. You have degenerates all over the country betting on, you say, computers or whatever, OTBs. Is the handle going to be different because it's not, you just won't have people there? You're missing that handle?
Well, some of the tracks that are operating now, since things opened up, they've seen handles go way up.
Wow.
Even without on-track attendance. It's really remarkable. I don't have the data in front of me, but I've been following some of the discussions on social media and on the internet. But a lot of these tracks are up in handle, even without any fans in the stands.
We were teasing you about getting the winner, but let me tell you this: Jay and I are going to buy your tote sheet, your tip sheet. Give us the website. Give everybody the website who's listening, who can jump on board and get the winner on Saturday.
Well, there's two places to buy my report. It's actually a 4-page report and analysis of every race. It's on Brisnet.com. That's one place to get it. but also it's on my homepage at racedaylasvegas.com, www.racedaylasvegas.com. I have a homepage there. You'll see my picture on the left side, and I've got a PayPal link for the cost is $20, but there's a PayPal link that you can do to click on it right there. And then, actually, believe it or not, I email it to each of the individual customers as I get these PayPal receipts. So I like that personal touch of actually be in contact with all my buyers and subscribers.
So Saturdays will be from race 1 to the end, correct?
Race 1 through 12.
And for us, it starts like at 9 in the morning, I think.
Yeah, it starts early in the day. The NBC telecast starts at noon our time. So it picks up at about the 6th race, and that's kind of when I start to watch it. So I, park myself in front of the TV and, watch the races the rest of the day until we get to the Belmont.
Mm-hmm. So we do have who's going to come in second. Now we're just going to buy it to see what comes in first.
Well, Steve, you had me on last year in early June, and I remember I did give out a horse called Sir Winston on your show. He won at 10-1 odds, and he won me a lot of fans who placed $2 or $20 or whatever on him. And Joel Rosario gave him a beautiful ride. So let's see if we can try to emulate that and maybe come up.
Well, let me tell you, I got a few callers that week after that happened because he went off at 10-1. He says, your guy, he picked the winner and nobody else had the winner.
Yeah, he was not a popular choice, that's for sure.
No. That's why you do what you do, Richard.
Well, you try to go down the road, the path less taken. That's one of the things about horse racing. If you go down the same path that everybody else does, you'll land on the favorite. But if you take a different path, invariably you'll find other horses at higher odds. Is this race specifically because we have other targets to hit that day as well? It's kind of ripe. If Tiz the Law doesn't come in, it's kind of ripe for other guys. Well, one thing about the wagering patterns is, it's race 10 out of a 12-race card, and when you're betting pick 6, pick 5, pick 4s, if people are on a limited bankroll, you will try to find a single, which lowers the cost of your ticket. That's just, part of doing business. And so I really believe a lot of people are going to single Tiz the Law. He's going to be about 3 to 5. So if you can somehow beat this horse, the value of your wagers is going to go skyrocketing, if you can hit the other legs, of course. But I think Tiz the Law is going to be a very popular single. So, that's one reason why you try to beat favorites, because if he doesn't get there first, you're going to get tremendous value in the payoffs.
Great, Richard. I appreciate your time. We'll probably get with you again in September for the Kentucky Derby. So we're going to go to your website now and get the sheet and wish us luck, because you'll have the same luck.
Wish us a lot of luck.
You guys didn't wrestle my pick, though.
Well, if you want to give it to us,
we're all ears.
We're still going to buy the sheet.
Or if you just want to throw out a horse in any of the races after race 6 when I'm watching, you tell me, and I'm all over it.
I am more than willing, because you guys are special guys, and I appreciate being on with you. I will give out my top choice. I wish I could guarantee that he's going to win, but there's never a guarantee in sports in any sporting event. But the horse that I'm going to go with to try to beat Tiz the Law is the number 9 horse, Dr. Post.
Okay.
This is one of those horses that only has a few starts, 3 starts, but I love his pattern of development, and he's been heavily favored in all 3 starts. Todd Pletcher really loves this animal, and he's the kind of animal where he is capable of improving and running a career top on Saturday.
Well, you talk
at 5-1. That's where I'm going.
You talk about Pletcher. He's a UA grad, Arizona grad, and he's won this 4 times.
We're sold, Richard. We're sold. We're on him. We are on him.
We might get a few Dr. Peppers from Dr. Post.
There we go.
Thank you, Richard.
Richard, we appreciate it. This was fun, and we're going to have you on again when I can pick your brain some more. Not about a specific horse, but just how you do this, why you do this, and how much fun you have doing this. Because I enjoy the heck out of this, but I've never been one to be able to go spend a lot of time at a track or anything like that. So I'm fascinated. I'm ready to go on Saturday.
Thanks, guys. And, I still believe horse race betting is the most fun gambling that you can do of any kind, whether it's sports, slots, table games, or it's horse racing for me.
Yep.
Good. Thank you, Richard.
Richard, thanks a bunch. Good luck on Saturday.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Great. Let's take a quick break here. Our final one on 1030 The Voice.
Local and national politics, the issues that matter to you. 1030 The Voice, Tucson's trusted local news and talk.
There's a place in our house. For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
These days, most families are concerned with having the right insurance coverage. Protecting your family, home, auto, and other valuable possessions can be challenging and sometimes expensive. Crest Insurance gives you flexible options and solutions while saving you money. Insurance is not one size fits all, and at Crest, we find the coverage that's best for you and your family. Visit us online at www.crestins.com or call us toll free at 888-881-5765.
This is Bill Buckmaster. Friday, we'll be talking with Pima County Sheriff Mark Napier during the noon hour. Joining me in the conversation, Dylan Smith of TucsonSentinel.com. Matt Russell has Weekend Watch. It's happening on Buckmaster during the noon hour. We're on 1030, Tucson's voice for trusted news talk. We're always on buckmastershow.com. Check it out 24/7 for all of our podcasts.
Trusted local news and talk. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera, alongside a very excited Jay Gonzales. Yeah, you're 48 hours away from. Well, you should have your money in 48 hours.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. We'll throw a few bucks on Dr. Post.
Dr. Post
in the Belmont Stakes, and he obviously said you can't throw the favorite. Tis the law out of there, but he gave us somebody that he thought could beat that horse, and so we're going to give it a shot, and we'll report back on Monday.
Even if you go Quinella box or
an exacta box or something like that, yeah, absolutely.
You have a 6-to-1 choice and a winner.
I'm licking my chops. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go for the Belmont Stakes.
Not a college retirement type of bet, but
no,
this is a nice dinner.
And look, and I know my wife is listening, and I've got to make sure that everything is cool at home. But look, I'm about having a lot of fun. Put in a couple of bucks on a game on a horse race and watching the race. And it's to me, it's not about having I need to win a whole bunch of money. I love if I've got $5 on a race and I watch the race, and that's fun for me. My wife loves to play blackjack. Okay, you can lose a blackjack hand faster than that. So.
Oh, sure. No, like you said, like you spend like an 45 for this. It takes like an hour to get ready for the race.
Well, I've been to Santa Anita a few times in Old Hollywood Park before they knocked it down to build the and are building the new Rams
Football
and Chargers stadium there, but. Santa Anita is a lot of fun. We had a blast there, and you go there, and it's big time. It's like the difference between going to a minor league baseball game with like Rito Downs, and then going to Dodger Stadium.
Right.
Going to Santa Anita is the pageantry of the whole thing. Getting a good box seat. You got your program under your arm, you got your binoculars, and you watch some horse racing. And it takes all day. And okay, maybe you lost $20-$30. That's how I gamble. I'm not going to go lose $100, $200, $300. I'm going to go.
It's a good day.
And if I win $30, I had fun.
Have you been to Del Mar?
Never been to Del Mar, but it's a place that I want to go. So I gotta get to Del Mar. I've talked about that for every time I do that drive between San Diego and L.A. I'm looking to the side and I'm checking out Del Mar as I go by, and I've never been there. When we had Bob Baffert on, we talked about my brother Ed went to Del Mar and saw American Pharaoh win his first race. Well, it was his first win, not his first race, and he framed his program from that event. And so it was a big time event, and he goes to Del Mar once a year because he's got a buddy that lives in the area.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm still depressed that Baffert won't have any horses.
When we were, I didn't know that until I got to the studio and you mentioned that to me, and I'm thinking, okay, whatever I do, I'm betting on, I'm betting on Baffert.
Nadal.
If for no other reason than I got to talk to the guy.
Right. Well, I had Nadal all the way through January.
So I was going to bet on him just because I had him. We talked to him.
He would be more favorite than Tisla, so he'd be 2-5. So you'd have to find somebody to beat Nadal.
Right. I'm that guy. There've been times that I met a football player, so I bet on his team, or whatever. But again, that's kind of the fun way that I gamble.
Right. Well, so it's like anybody picking. Oh, that's a cool name. Like the one I said over the weekend that raced. I can't remember where on the East Coast. My names for the weekend. Linda Loves Lace.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Okay.
People bet just because of color of a horse.
Right.
Gray horses.
Right.
Names of horses.
I've done that, and I've got so many stories of days at the dog track or at Rito.
Oh, right, those long days.
Drawing numbers out of a hat and hitting a race.
That's when you hit big time odds.
Right, sure. And that type of stuff. Or well, I'm going to bet on this. I'm going to bet on this horse because there's something in the name, or or there's something in the owner's name, or whatever.
Right.
And so again, I never take myself too seriously on this, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
You downloaded the racing forum. You'll see some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
And you'll see some names that will say, "Hey, I like that name."
Yeah, sure. And again, it's fun. And if it's a couple of bucks and it makes a race fun, then that's what I have fun doing.
Oh, that's what we'll be doing Saturday.
That's how I'm looking forward to it.
So you're going to get up early, 9 o'clock?
I don't know. I'm going to probably just pick it up at noon, noon our time. I was looking at the schedule, and it says
is it about the sixth race?
The sixth race, and the Belmont is the 10th race. That's about as much as I'll do. I probably got a little yard work to do Saturday morning, and that'll get me on my wife's good side, right? So that I can sit down and.
Honey, you've been working hard.
Program.
You've been working hard.
I'm working hard. I got to lay down. My shoulders hurt. I've been.
What are those tickets in your hand?
And then we got to find somebody who's in a position to make some bets for us. So
well, the one thing I didn't ask him about, because I don't think we can still bet Santa Anita because of the embargo. So he does that a lot for Santa Anita. He's very good.
Right.
This is at Belmont, of course, but there's racing at Santa Anita and there's racing at Belmont. You can't do it online or anywhere in the state of Arizona at Santa Anita. So
right, normally, what we've done on Triple Crown race days is we find somebody who's got the time or the ability to get to an off-track betting site and go make some bets, and then we'll just watch the races.
Yeah, it's funny because, and you've seen this, the lines, people don't know what they're doing. Because this is the only time they bet.
Oh yeah. Oh sure. And I don't know what I'm doing, Steve. I really don't. I mean, I look at a racing form, and especially a horse racing form, and it's a foreign language.
It's got a lot of stuff in there.
I look at who's the trainer, and I look at, has this horse won some races? That's it. That's the only thing I see on a racing form when I look at a racing form. But but as Richard was saying, there's so much more that goes into it, and that's why I was asking him, do you map out how a race is going to play out? And his answer was yes.
Yeah.
And I don't have the patience for that.
No, this is what he does for a living.
Right. And when you do it for a living, and you're good at it, you can do that. I don't have the patience for that. When I look at a horse race, I look at the names. I look at post positions because I'm that guy who likes to bet horses who are kind of on the inside and run the shorter route, and I look at how many races a horse has won. But the crazy thing about that is you look at a horse racing program. Well, they might have won this race at a lower class,
right.
And now they're at an upper class, and so that what race they won down there means zero.
That's why I said I would look at things are class and speed.
Right.
Yeah. Because class to me is like the number one thing.
So I'm that guy that bets favorites. Okay, because
I'm there too.
Yeah, I'm that guy that bets favorites, or unless somebody tells me not to, that there's somebody else like he just did. I follow Chris Felica, the Bear, Stanford Stephen the Bear. I follow the Bear, and he throws out a lot of horse racing stuff. So on Saturday, I'll pay attention to what he's doing.
How does he do?
I don't know. I don't really,
follow
I
that.
see that. I just see that he puts stuff every day on the different tracks.
Mhm.
So I'll see what he's going to do on Saturday, and then they've got the analysts on the program,
Right.
and I'll see what they're doing. There's the guy Kelly Olnick, is that his name? He was a hockey guy, and now he's the horse racing analyst.
You're talking about Eddie Olczyk.
Eddie Olczyk, that's his name. Eddie Olczyk. He actually picks races.
Oh,
they do, they give him on the program. They'll give him a proverbial $1,000 or whatever, and then he'll make a bunch of bets.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Okay, so I know Eddie personally from when I worked in the NHL. He's good.
Mhm.
He knows his horses.
Yeah.
Well,
and he's seriously, like, he could do just that full time, but because he played in the NHL, he still does hockey.
I will tell you that 2 years ago on Derby Day, we crushed it because he had a great day. We had, in fact, in the Derby.
Was it Justify?
Yeah, but a long shot came in, nosed in second place.
And you hit something
And
big.
there was a nice trifecta with that.
Oh, yeah.
We had Justify on top of everything.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was the Derby, maybe it might have been the Preakness. A long shot stuck its nose in for second place, and we had the trifecta, and we got a good number on that. And so, boy, did we get crushed. I didn't get to do any of the horse races last year because I was at Sugar Skulls games.
Yeah.
So yeah. I watched the Kentucky Derby last year on my iPad at the arena, but 2 years ago we crushed it on Derby Day, but we got crushed on the day of the Belmont.
You have those days.
And when I say crushed, I'm talking about I lost $25, $30.
Sure. And you probably lost not as much as you won.
Right.
Because
but we got it. We hit a really good number in I believe it was the Kentucky Derby 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I should tell the story, but I was in Vegas for the De La Hoya fight against De La Hoya versus Mayweather. And that was 12 years ago. So I had a group of friends, and they have money. I kind of laugh at their money because they have money. So 6, 7 of them banded together. They bet the Derby, thinking that it was going to be through the moon, because sometimes it goes through the moon and it pays crazy. So they boxed everything. They spent $2,000-$3,000 on the comp, and they hit the trifecta. It was $300.
Ah. Wow.
So you spent $3,000 to win $300.
Wow, that's awful.
But you see that a lot because you're trying to hit through the moon,
right?
And then all of a sudden the horse that the favorite 3-2, you can't do, and all of them come in.
Well, and sometimes it comes to the rescue. We take a football trip every year, and we just bet a bunch of football games over a weekend. And last year we were in Vegas. And by Sunday afternoon, we were getting crushed. We had a bad day on college. We were having a bad day in the NFL, and so my brother was here in Tucson, and we called him, and we just started betting horse races, and we got a little bit of our money back betting some, making horse racing bets instead of football down at the book.
Your mojo, got to change the mojo.
We had to do something, and and it was fun. We had fun. We were betting We were running down to the sports book, making the bets, and watching them on TVG in our room. So
yeah. Sometimes you got to temper that enthusiasm.
You got to figure out a way to do it.
Right.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Right. Especially when you're in Vegas.
But I'm excited for Saturday now. I think my wife's a little worried that, as somebody said, I've got a horse racing guy now. Hon, I promise it's going to be okay. I'm not betting the mortgage money.
Either you'll have a good dinner Saturday night, or you just make tacos.
Right, or I'll pretend like it never happened.
That's true. Hey, good show today, Jay.
It was fun. Father's Day show tomorrow. We got 3 great guests coming up. Glenn Parker, Mike Fader, and Big Bird Bob Elliott will be on our show tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
We hope you'll be here.
1030 The Voice supports local law enforcement. And this Monday, we encourage you to show your support. At 5:03 p.m., drive by any police station and honk your horn to honor the 503 officers who've been killed in the line of duty since 2017. And listen to the Wake Up